All right, chapter 2, the Dawn Days. Generations ago, the people living in Britain were unlike those now occupying this bountiful land, and in bygone ages, great herds of cattle were tended on rolling green plains. Southward grew long stem corn, but in those long gone days it was not bartered with black bearded strangers from beyond the stormy seas. The first folk holding this land were the Camaletis, called Wictarian in the old tongue, but these were dwellers in the north, while southward were the dark, short-legged dwarf men known as Oban. They were kingless and chiefless, though it is said by some that stocky-statured Cathlon was once their king. None knows who led the dwarfmen here, though men do say the land spawned them, though the land is good. They were Hagridden, forest-fearing river dwellers who painted their faces and legs, users of evilly poisoned weapons. Theirs were the grim gods of death and darkness, and at their first festival times, the dwarfmen sat in somber caves eating children as part of their evil feasting. They had no priests, only dwarfesses called Chetthin, meaning raven adopted, and there was a great one above the others called Harada, who lived in a smoky cave called Hegrin. They were ruled by an old hag woman who prepared hellish brews in fire churns tended by devilish brown-swaddled dwarf maidens, for they also worshipped beings dwelling in smoke. The last hag woman queen of the Oban was Quasir, who had a cave shelter hole in Inswiten, which is the Dwarf Isle, now called Inisaweg in the Western tongue. Here they worship the old year teller, coming from afar on wind floats, the neighing wind horses of later days. The most hallowed of their rites were those celebrated before the Mayflowering, when filthy things were done, for they had no shame. Here the children of the dusk gathered in the month of willows to worship Mamdu and her Baal brood, performing vile rites under the command of Blasis, their great man-god. The dwarf men, both north and south, were skin-swaddled, though sometimes wearing nettlecloth clothes of black or brown, and like the cat, dove, and dove, and dog, they made it openly without shame. They gathered toadstools, brockberries, ivy, wayweed, and other unwholesome plants, using these with evil moondew to make a maddening brew, which opened a strange door of hellish worlds. They were ruled by cowled sudes and drade witches, and were unable to number beyond a score. There are dwarfsmen still living among us in the forest depths and in the caverns under the earth, though none here has seen one. They quickly take to flight, and though fearing it, will take refuge within the forest. Sometimes a bold one will stay and will greet the wayfarer with, "Hail, man, I saw you from afar, but stayed," to which the reply must be made, "Before seeing you, I was as one dead, but now life comes again." Then, providing a gift is also given, the wayfarer remains unmolested. In the generations of the dwarf men, broad Britain was a many-marshed land where dismal ferns and tangled forests hindered passage from place to place. The Oban were not numerous and their children few, but they were hardy and long-lived. Their caves were painted even in the darkest depths where daylight never fell, for the eyes of the Oban were like those of cats. They were not skillful hunters, but set many traps, and in lots of ways were like children. They were playful when not engaged in dark doings, but their menfolk were not manly, nor their women womanly. They were cunning and devious, not to be trusted. Far to the south were the swarthy swarm of the Frolja, though these were not true dwarfmen, but the outcome of intermingled blood. They were worshippers of Nana, the mighty mother, and were ruled by many fey women who sat in night councils when the summer shiners slept. Into the land held by the short, dark Oban came tall, wiry Tothsallers, who were sun folk. They came through Arana and the country of the Nudlanders, who were Galatraps, and it was in those days men began to breed swine, the first beast bred to be eaten, for only the dwarf men eat dogs and cats. The land was then called Murden, meaning the place of rest. Then into the easterly lowlands came sea-born Baradon with his ploughmen, and that part lying between Hildreth and Pre-Tackley made their own and called it Holban. Baradon was the son of Indrud, who married Harash. Indrud was the son of Jova, who married Elsis, and Jova was the son of he who became the first father of households. Wise, hoary-headed men have treasured these tales belonging to our first great race, the wise and noble having its birthplace in great forest-girt mountains bespangled with green, sky-pointing pine fingers. These are tales of times before men were men, when the big-bellied Murky Mother ruled the world-covering netherfolk, sharing the land with giant endlings. The great gutted one was unaware of the wind-blasted salt waters living in the mountain-head, thicket-walled cave places beyond the corngrass plains of Nomina. She knew only the cold companionship of hooded adders. There, in smoke-smothered gloom and shrouded caverns, attended by her daughter Elued, she read signs for rock-stooled bailings, plucked dark wisdom from writhing flames. Lovers of the comforting fire warmth, smoke dreamers, seekers of home's hearth's consolation, not far-ranging war bringers or land openers, the neither folk desired only to remain undisturbed. Compatible companions to intangible wraiths, flitting shades of unsubstantial ghosts, they knew full well the secrets of Gorwell, fearing forest-ruling Pafaba. They begged protection of the Neither-roger. But among the life-giving trees he was powerless. In the smoke-curtained, many-pillared whole hall, unblessed by regenerating sunray, the neither folk called upon their wan night goddess, their prayers weird yelpings in the ruddy gloom, their music was the rushing gurgle and splash of falling waters, their song a hollowing whine. These were of the race spawned long ago in dark-mirrored moss swamps, fern-eating foemen of the poisoned dart. Not for them the swiftly killed sacrifice. Their delight was in painful maiming, in the broken humiliation of their betters. Woeful indeed was the yearly fate of the hag-mother's spouse on the long dark night preceding the bridal day during the feast of flame. They were wolf-talking howlers of the night, owl-screeching denizens of dim caverns, speech-beguilers of wild creatures in closed places. Cowled and cloaked in dull clothing, they were undistinguishable in their habitat, save for the foul, nostril-stinging smell of bodies ointmented with pig-fat, soot, blood, and clay. All the night, at the dark of the moon, they pranced around stone-hedged, deep-dung, glowing fire pits, their kirtles upheld by the never-subsiding limb beneath. Bemuddled, grease-grimmed, and gray were the heads of the hag women seated around the ash fires, muttering darkly over the rowan omen sticks. Casting spells for the hell-spewed horde, they sucked fat, dripping portions from the stone-heated pots. Only the poison-speared he-goat leader of rituals received choicer portions than they. Never fighters with sword or axe and shield, the battle-shy dwarfmen were twin-handed dart hurlers. Back-pointing, evil-toothed, barbed short lances were their hand-carried weapons, and no man-smiting metal was theirs to work. Nor did they pin their cloaks, but held them together with animal threads. They had no shields, but were agile and deft in dodging the thrusting weapons of their foes. Into the dark, wild, wooded land came blood-haired Lodmore, son of Kel, wave-born encased within the ship bellies of oak and beech. Father fighter of the upright Ibris, the hearth hollower, the wife maker, the child protector, the wild herd rider, up the flowing waters to Muspel, place of the Netherfolk, came their fair-skinned wanderers. Not with fight-straining eyes, but with hands empty of weapons and guileless hearts, seeking only to live out on the grass-thatched plains, their eyes fell on sights never before seen, the feast of offal, the fire-smoke dancing, the open coupling before jesting advice-giving onlookers. Sorry. Early for me. No sight this for maidens of the Ibris, no place for wide-eyed womenfolk, not for red-cheeked children's curiosity, the pleasures of the dusty horde, not for hard-hunting men, the stone benches of the wolf-wenches. The heavy-handed ones who made men of men had come to a land demanding their care, and they were vigilant. Long into the night echoed the songs of Bilu and Blasis, while those of the upper-born race sat sternly silent, their disgust unvoiced. No thoughts of spear-reddening had they as they gazed upon the revolting antics. Beyond the undistinguishable wall, where ruddy firelight gently kissed the face of darkness, sulkers of the Netherfolk stole the fur-swaddled sleeper, man-child of the lusty-lunged war-singer. Swiftly he was borne away in the arms of the son of the day banisher. Righteous rage broke out in the ranks of the upright ones. No longer were the war weapons unwhetted, ruddy indeed the dawn over Muspel, but in the bushes and trees and the place lurked most of the swarthy swarm, escaped to howl vile threats and defiance at the grouped warriors and their protected womenfolk. With the opening of the dawn's eye, the brawny warriors were spread wide, driving the wily foe from his cover. Eager the faces, fierce, close-held the comforting shields, but the foemen were as hard to grapple with as the morning mists. The call to close came many times, the red horn resounding through the thicketed woods, but the dwarfmen were never in front, always behind. Then, as the Sky Chief descended towards its resting place, the warriors came to a clearing before a cavern-cliffed face, and there the evil brood were cornered. Grim-faced, the tall ones entered the battle clamor, but axe and sword bit only unsatisfying air. There was a scattering of the small ones, followed by a hunting through darkling glades. Ever the swift, silent, poisoned darts flew, and the bitter barbs bit deep, fastening viciously on the heroic flesh. Evil indeed for heroes to thus die. Back through the bramble-entangled woods, through high-grass glades, came the weary warriors, the long, thirsty swords still alert and eager for the blood of barbed dart-throwers. That night they camped where they had left their guarded womenfolk, and with the dawn light the sentries discovered a dwarfman. It was Comward, the wrinkled, and he brought back the man-child and the heart of his abductor. "Tattish, peace," cried Camweird, the wrinkled, before the long, sharp-pronged spear of Thunderwolf. "Let be, let us bide together." Sad tears the dark eyes shed. "Peace," said the sword-sheathers. "Defile not the Anketil, peace be." The hard-gripping hands, familiar with spear, axe, and sword, were extended in friendship, and the vengeance-smiting and blood-flow ceased. Then, to the stockade came the small ones, emissaries for peacemaking, Magas and Shine, dwarfmen of Jaime, Mooney, Meany, and Shindy, with Lum the leader, brown-clad, hooded, kirk-diddled, belted, and entasseled, rusket-skinned and ruddy-faced. Then came wise Killin to the peacemaking, tall towering, sinewy, and stern, he of the generous hand. Thus was the way opened for the fair folk to enter the land. Lodmore led his people through the forest land to the white, dusty hawthorn plains, and they settled there in peace. There they raised noble sons, white-browed, blue-eyed, slim-womaned, and dutifully wifed. Russet battle-axes were laid aside, and whetstone no longer caressed the sword. Brawny arms drove in the firmly held addle piles, raising the ash-held rafters, spreading above them in the thick lead fern and corded grass. Laughingly the children played, the merry maids singing, the building blows of men echoing in the clearings. In from the moors to carry timber and stone came sons of the night crow, blue-skinned people, dark-cloaked, mossy-haired men, akin to the Oban, worshippers of the evil brooding mother, the ever-brooding mother. The son of Lodmore was battle-blooded, Killin the North Rider, whose mother was Elvira, maid of the morning, and while Killin was yet young, dwarfmen came to the high stockade, emissaries seeking allies. Killin sat with his father, listening to the words of the dwarfmen. It was agreed the dwarf folk should live under the shield of Lodmore, and they would labor in return. Then Killin gave them sticks for hoeing and digging, long stones for planting. Leeks, beans, flax, barley, and wheat were unstintingly given, along with woven haircloth. In wooded glades cleared by tree-encircling fires, the sowing commenced. The bow bowers were built, the swine enclosed. Not all the wide-ranging warriors thought as did Lodmore, for some said, "Let us make masters for this dark brood of dwarfmen. Let us sever the haglings from their ever-broody hag-mother, the smoky hell-hag of dark caverns. Let us pen them as cattle." To enslave was not the nature of the upstanding ones. Blood had been ransomed with blood, and no score remained unsettled. No woman of the dwarf folk was bedridden. When the time of May feasting was at hand, Lud came, the dwarf chief, son of Frokith, with him his daughter, the night-haired Rada. The dwarf maiden came well attended with young hag-woman, her skin like half-ripe rose-seed, small-faced, bedimpled, bird-eyed, full-haired to the knee, brown-kirtled, fur-shod, and cloaked with acceptable grace. She came as a worthy bride-offering. Hers was the bracken bed, fragrant grass mingled within. For 3 days, Killin the battle-blooded North Rider, the weary wanderer, the forest fighter, remained silent, his thoughts remaining within himself. But then he welcomed the what is that word? Throthplighter. He welcomed a dark maid, the non-bedridden one of the dwarfmen, for she was not unworthy of a true man. Spake dark Lud, this woman, the safeguarded daughter of a chief, has never been any man's plaything. Not for her the bed of sand, the dance-ending gift. This is a true lady of the elflingers. Of women in the land, none is above her, none exceeds her in beauty or virtue, if these you value. As man speaks with man, chief with chief, match gift with gift, let this land be ours. Give a tall, corn-haired maiden, full-bosomed, fair-skinned, sun-faith, to and live in gloomy lives. Spake one-tongued Killin, not for me the words of hidden meaning. No maid of light shall be given to man of darkness, though dwarf maidens are not denied to men of mine. If night mingle with the day, the light is lessened, so the day spurns the night. The night is not guardian of the light, so what cares it? Does darkness put out the firelight, or fire dispel darkness? Can they mix? No milk-skinned maid shall go at my behest. This I declare, for even I cannot forbid the troth pledge of one who loves. If there be a milk-skinned maid who would freely choose to go, then let it be. She may bide as a bride of yours, but surely it is known no milk-skinned maid would sever herself from our race, for return with a dark brood is forbidden. No dark brood do we accept, our men with your maids go, but what come of it is not one of us, no acceptable issue of ours. We father no dark brood, nor twilight offspring. What do we choose to father our herds, the best or the worst among bulls? Are not men many times greater than cattle? No milk-skinned maid came freely forth. The dark dwarven men chief was left unwed. In stockaded homes the tall upright ones slept secure. No maid crept forth to mingle with the murky ones of the night. Yet when the full-sailed night scanner shone above, the weird prancing, the neithermen danced in the down-shining light. Round and round rapidly moved the dancing feet, the earthen mound quaked, the singing rose on the night breeze, flute music mingled with the tree sounds. Faster flew the nimble feet beating down upon tight-packed earth, wilder whirled the dancers to their compelling climax. The earth watchers drew a curtain of cloud over the eyes of the night shiner. No corn-haired head rose from its resting place. Many the moon-bathed dances off the wild prancing, but less and less the dark brood's numbers. Further back into the forest and cave went the dusky skinned ones. Oft in the night darkness the fair maids were snatched by brown-cowled dwarfmen to breed twilight broodings in secret places. Woeful were the enforced couplings, and woeful the issue. Not the milk-skinned maids, the free sinful coupling of the foredoomed dawn race. In 5 generations the neithermen were gone. Only in the dark depths of cave and forest could they be found. No longer were the milk-skinned maidens molested at night. The night of offerings were put out. The dwarfsmen came and supped. Honey, bread, milk, and sow flesh were taken in gratitude. The race of neithermen passed into the shadows of time, only twilight offspring roaming the land, tawny-faced, blue-legged, weirdly painted, brown-cowled, rope-belted builders with stone. No longer dwellers in dismal caves or hunters in dark-beard swamps, the Alfing built slime-covered bow houses and raised high, upward-pointing stones. Still soot-besmeared, pig-fat ointmented like the dark side of their forebears, they were also feathered and quill-ornamented. Being twilight-fathered, they faced no man courageously, coming to the attack like ground-slithering snakes, striking venomously from secret places, still forest skulkers. None could recite his lineage, for no man knew his father. These were mother-lapped, reared half-folk, speaking with the tongues of their fathers, their words like crackling, sputtering green twigs burning in the fire, brown and green clothed, bangled, stone-hauling Idoings toiling for their black-bearded masters for unknown ends.